Hello, hello. How are you doing today? Happy Monday. I hope you are well and had a lovely weekend. So, today I'm going to talk to you again about glute bridge. We did one back in November, and I've put a link to that one in the comments box so you can go and have a look in case you didn't see it already. If you did, please stay on. We're going to add some variations to the ones I gave you and talk about a couple of extra things that you can think about with your glute bridge. But before I continue, just a little reminder, if you're watching, please do, as always, give me a little thumbs up or a little heart to let me know you're there. Please feel free to comment and say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. I always love to see that. Even if you're watching on catch up, please do tag me in any comments that you put, and please feel free to ask questions at any time. I would love to answer them for you. So we're going to talk a little bit about glute bridge today, and I'm going to remind you again, if you've already seen me talk about this, or perhaps this is the first time hearing it, why I really love this exercise. Basically, it targets your glutes, which are the big muscles in your butt, but also it's not just for your glutes. Obviously, there's so many other muscles working here. It also targets the hamstrings, which are the muscles in the backs of your legs, in case you didn't know that, and also the adductors, your inner thighs, which we're going to talk a lot about today. I also find that it's really working my upper abdominals as well. Hey, Carla. And because I really want to think about keeping my rib cage closed, so I'm really contracting here as well. And it's, you know, a great overall core exercise, although I'm not thinking too much about engaging my lower abdominals because I want to relax the hip flexors. That's kind of something we'll talk about in a minute. Anyway, so much going on here. And I do tend to call it glute bridge sometimes because I really want to emphasize the fact that you need to use your glutes to do it. And this is kind of the point. You're using your glutes, actively squeezing them in order to lift the hips up and down. And then potentially as you get stronger, you can add weight and that kind of thing. But I'm trying to remind myself to switch over to actually calling it hip bridge rather than the glute bridge, because it has, you know, all of these benefits for all of the other muscles around. I don't want it to just be like, oh, it's only about the glutes. It's totally not. So I'm trying to think of it more as a hip bridge, and then also the benefits that it has to your whole pelvis. Basically, why are we doing this? To really keep your pelvis stable by activating the glutes and strengthening the glutes. And why do we want to keep our pelvis stable? If it's out of whack at all, it can cause knee pain. If the muscles are not evenly working, they might be pulling on your knee joint one way or another, or potentially low back pain for similar reasons. For example, if you're sitting all day, you might find that the hip flexors are shortening, and this also causes the glutes to relax and not work at all, really, which, you know, pulls the pelvis in a certain direction if the glutes aren't stabilizing. And this can, you know, we can feel this in our knees. Also, we can feel it in our low back. Conversely, if we're standing all day, we might find that our low back's really doing a lot of work to support us, and if our glutes aren't strong, then they can't kind of help support the low back. The QL muscles are pretty small, the glutes are really big, and can really do a lot of work to help support. So anyway, it's a good all-round exercise for everybody. Additionally, if you're a belly dancer, obviously you want to have a strong and stable pelvis because of all of our beautiful hip work, right? And on top of this, unfortunately, our belly dance posture, when we have that slightly soft knee, it is leading us to shorten our hip flexors even more, which, you know, exacerbates the problem a little bit. So we have to be really using our glutes as much as possible to counteract this. Super important things to think about. So what else are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the adductors, the inner thighs. So we're going to start off in a moment. I'm going to just do a few basic glute bridges for you as kind of like a little warm up, and then we'll do a couple of variations for the adductors, your inner thigh muscles. And why do we want to focus on those particularly? We obviously want to keep things balanced throughout all of the legs, but I'm just kind of picking another muscle group for us to look at today. And again, if the adductors are weak, because they're kind of on the inside of the thighs, they could easily be pulling or not pulling enough to balance with the other muscles, and then you might again find knee pain, pelvis slightly out of whack. It's all the kind of same sort of thing, and different reasons why you might be feeling any discomfort or imbalances. Also, if you're a dancer as well, certainly you might be coming up onto releve, onto the balls of your feet. If you can engage the inner thigh muscles strongly, that's going to really help you balance, stay on your axis. Also, if you're turning as well and you want to stay on your axis, really important, like if you can really engage in the center of the body to lift you and to keep you on that central axis and keep your turns on the spot and keep you balanced. So I hope that's all making sense so far. If you have any questions, do please pop them in the box. I'm just going to have a quick look and see. I've got Connie watching as well. Hey Connie, how you doing? And do feel free to put the questions in at any time. If you have a friend or anyone who you think might benefit from this as well, please do share it with them or tag them in the comments below. So let's get onto the mat. If you are at home and you have a chance to do this along with me, I highly recommend it. You do not have to be a belly dancer to do this. This is for everybody. I'm going to scoot back a little bit so you can see me, hopefully. So we're going to take the first couple nice and gently because we haven't really done a warm-up as such. So go really easy if you're following along. If you are travelling home from work, I want you to promise me that as soon as you get home from work, before you put the telly on, before you start making dinner, I want you to pop this video back on and join in with me so you get this done today. Okay, lying on your back, and I normally like to touch my big toes together to make sure that they're in the same place, but then make them slightly apart, so I've got a little bit of gap in between my inner thighs, and my feet are quite close into my bum. And now I am going to squeeze my bum, and I'm going to scoop, and I'm going to very slowly roll, picking the hips up off the floor, pressing the big toe joint into the floor, rolling all the way up, and then rolling down, articulating all the way through the spine. So we call this a hip bridge. To distinguish it from a version, I'm going to keep talking at you while I keep going, to distinguish it from another version called shoulder bridge, which is something a little bit more yoga based, where you come up a little bit higher onto your shoulders, and it's more working with an extension in the spine and working towards deeper back bends, really. So that's not the one we're doing here. We're really focusing on the muscles in the legs and the hips for this one, although obviously the spinal muscles are working too. So squeeze, squeeze, squeeze your bum, and you really, as you're starting to get a little bit warmer, you can press it a little bit higher. And as you're coming down, really thinking about keeping the hips lifted as you can all the way to the last moment and really rolling through the spine. And it was only, you might have heard me tell this story before, it was only I was doing this exercise for a long time and not realising that I actually had to squeeze my butt myself, if you know what I mean. I understood that it was a glute exercise, but I was like, I can't feel it in my glutes. Until Ashley Lopez was like, no, you have to squeeze your butt yourself. I'm like, oh! And that's really hard work, but actually made this exercise way easier in the end once I learned how to turn my bum muscles on. So hopefully that's good so far. We're going to add a little bit of variation now for your adductors, your inner thighs. So we're going to come back into position, and we're going to hold at the top. So you can either hold all the way up, or if this is new to you, you can take it just a little way up, but really making sure you're keeping those glutes engaged all the way, just holding it up as high as you can. So I'm going to scoop and roll up, and now from here I'm going to do little pulses, squeezing my legs together. So squeeze, 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 squeeze. And make sure you're still breathing. Contracting the upper abdominal so the rib cage doesn't flare. For 4, 3, 2, 1. And lowering down with control. So if that one was okay for you, then we can try another variation which is a little bit stronger. If that one was a bit challenging, you can repeat it again, or perhaps go back to the original bridge if you prefer, just to build up your strength with those. So we're going to scoop and roll up and lifting the hips. So now I'm going to keep my left glute engaged. I'm going to release the right glute and open the leg out to the side and then squeeze it together. And releasing on the other side, releasing the other leg and squeeze together. So it's open and squeeze, open and squeeze. And all the while I'm keeping my hips as high as I can. And open and squeeze. Let's do 2 more each side. And squeeze. Keep those hips lifted. Make sure you're still breathing. 1 more each side. And open and squeeze. Lift a little higher. And then roll down with control. Coming up to sitting. And we're done with our little sequence for today. So I would like to know what you think of that one, and please do give it a go and let me know your thoughts. Oh, I can see Nenning's watching. Hey Nenning, how are you doing today? So yes, let me know what you think of that one. Let me know what you think of those variations. A little bit out of breath there from doing those with you guys. Drop any comments in the box below. Tell me, you know what, I'd be really interested to know if any of you, there were quite a few people that commented on the previous video back in November. I know Kat was one of them, Georgia as well. Maybe I'll tag you in this post. You said that some of the ideas we were talking about, actually really focusing on squeezing the glutes yourself. I'd be interested to know if you've been working with that over the past few months, how it's developed for you, if you have been continuing to do this exercise, and yeah, let me know how it's getting on. So I think that's it for today. It's been nice talking to you. I will be back next week at the same time with something different, but probably glute hip related. Please do let me know if you have questions. Please tag and share with your friends. I would really appreciate it, and give me some thumbs up and some little hearts and let me know that you're out there. So big love, take care, bye bye.